Nicole Brown is the Chief Innovation Officer for Open Book Extracts, a company that specializes in product development for the CBD and cannabinoid industry. That word is hard for me to say. She has been developing products for people to meet their needs and to provide them with a new experience for most of her career, from wine to cosmetics and to software. Now she's on a new journey to help people improve their health and well-being with plant-based alternatives. I really enjoyed this interview with Nicole. It was such an eye-opener for me, who's very naive about the cannabis industry and its derivatives. Really enjoyed her explanation of so much of this, as well as her journey into wine and cosmetics and software, and ultimately to where she is today. She now is bringing all of her experience, all the things that she's done, all of it to bear in this new industry. So it's just a really fun story that I think that you will enjoy. So let's get right into it. This, of course, is the Meaning Movement podcast. Too often, high performers run on empty. This podcast is here to help you create a clear plan for reclaiming your life, your work, and your relationships again. I'm your host, Dan Cumberland. Today, with guest Nicole Brown. Stay with us. There's a big problem that's changing everything about the world as we know it: carbon and the impact of humans on the earth. We talk about it with words like climate change and global warming. But there's just two really important things that you need to know about it. First, this is an overwhelmingly big problem. So much so that it's likely that you feel as though your choices don't matter in the face of it. Second, that overwhelming feeling that I just mentioned, it's intentional. It was put there by design. The industries that make the biggest environmental impact have a vested interest in you feeling overwhelmed and powerless. They've marketed, lobbied, and schemed to create that feeling in all of us. In short, we've been lied to. But here's the good news. There's a lot you can do to make a difference. And the other good news is that there's still time. The Carbon Almanac is a book and project about these problems and what we can do to solve them. It was created and run by volunteers on the premise that it's not too late, but none of us can fix this problem on our own. We need each other. There are many ways to get involved, but simply learning more is a great start. Here are 3 steps you can take. First, go to thecarbonalmanac.org and sign up for the Daily Difference emails. They give you a short thought and a practical action that you can take alongside thousands of others every day. Second, get the Carbon Almanac book. It's full of facts, articles, graphs, and art. It's beautiful and fun to engage with. It's all footnoted and fact-checked. And importantly, it's made by volunteers whose only agenda is to solve these systemic issues. You can find it wherever books are sold. Finally, since you're listening to a podcast, search for the Carbon Almanac wherever you're listening. You'll find the Carbon Almanac Podcast Network and a few shows featuring expert insight, discussion, inspiration, and ways to take action. There's even a show just for kids. Do what appeals to you. Just do something. There's still time to make a huge difference in the future of the planet, but we can't solve this on our own. Join us. Nicole, welcome to the Meaning Movement podcast. I'm so excited to have you here with us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Dan.
The question I always like to begin with is, how do you begin to talk about the work that you do?
It's a great question for everyone. And for myself, in my current role as Chief Innovation Officer for Open Book Extracts, which is a company that specializes in product development for the CBD and cannabinoid industry, that question can take you in so many directions. But the place I like to start is we're in the business of making people feel better and making people have better quality of life outcomes on a number of different dimensions. So being able to create products that work, that support people's health is my primary reason for getting out of bed every day.
I love it so much. I don't really know anything about your industry. Not, I'm not experienced in this world at all, and so it's easy for me to make a lot of assumptions about, like, I don't know, the kind of person that, like, is working, working with weed, right? Like, it's. So I'm really excited to hear some of your story, some of your journey that's brought you here, and then also to learn more about the industry, because I'm sure I have a lot of false beliefs about it that I'm excited to maybe stand in for the listeners and get a bit of an education. So let's just rewind by just asking the question of, like, where did your career begin? Yeah, let's just start there. Like, where did you start your career? What was your focus at that point?
So I began my career working in the wine and spirits industry. So I worked for a company called LVMH. Moet Hennessy is their wine and spirits division. And so in that role was looking at their portfolio of various luxury spirit products, whether that's champagnes, wines, specialty vodkas and things, and working closely with different product development teams to design new products, things like flavored vodkas or aperitifs or different experiences for the alcohol industry, which is certainly a fascinating industry unto itself. And so began my journey there. And it's really where I fell in love with making products that people love, making products that add something to your life. And certainly in the wine and spirits world, it's much more recreational, it's much more enjoyable, but it's an experience. So it's something people look forward to and socialize around. So there was so much meaning there. Um, After my time there, I moved on into the beauty industry, another industry I love, and again with a similar focus around, again, creating these beautiful product experiences, whether it's skincare products, fragrances, which is another passion of mine, and again, all centered around really understanding what is going to resonate with people, what's going to add something to your routine. In the case of skincare, what's going to potentially support feeling better about yourself, feeling more confident, feeling good about how you look. And so that was a wonderful industry to spend time in and to learn more and more about, and did have certain analogs to, developing a beverage, or, at that time, it's like putting alcohol in a bottle to drink or putting alcohol in a bottle to wear. So it was
Yes.
kind of similar, but certainly different, right? And,
Yeah.
my kind of third journey took me in an entirely different direction into the technology world. I had an opportunity with a very dear friend of mine that I went to college with to start a technology startup company. And that was all based around mapping technology, creating experiences in a software setting to support better travel. So entirely different than anything I'd ever done before. And I remember sitting down with my friend when he's like, I want you to come on this journey with me. And I was like, you know that I do, marketing and growth marketing and sales for like things like alcohol and this. I don't know anything about tech. I don't know what an API is. At the time I still had a BlackBerry.
Yes.
I was like, I don't think I'm the person. It's like, no, you're going to love this industry. You're going to learn it. And so kind of took that leap and had an experience, at the time, this was the early, 2010s, kind of I would say, kind of like high velocity of all the, this was before even, Facebook took its course, or Instagram, Snapchat didn't exist yet. So being inside watching that development was fascinating. And so
Yes.
spent a great deal of time in the tech world. Eventually sold that company to TripAdvisor in 2016. So that
Wow.
technology we built now lives on in that larger platform. And that was during my time working at TripAdvisor, kind of leading some of their initiatives, that I made the intentional decision to want to be part of the cannabis industry. And I'm sure we'll have time here to talk more about why that is and what drew me to that. But it certainly was about being able to have an impact on people's lives and their quality of life, and personally being a supporter of plant-based medicine and plant-based alternatives, and seeing that opportunity to be a part of that, and especially an industry that is so nascent and so new. When I talk to people and they
Yeah.
ask, why cannabis, or why do this with
Yes.
all the things you've done?
Yes.
It's like if you could go back in time and have worked in the alcohol industry at the time of prohibition and
Mm,
found an entirely new industry and watch it flourish and grow, wouldn't you want to do that?
mm,
And that is
mm,
absolutely what we're a part of here, is laying the foundation for what I think is going to be a critical element and a critical set of products and solutions for decades and years to come. And it's just getting started now.
I love it. What a great, yeah, high level summary. Thank you for that. And what a journey you've been on with some fun twists and turns along the way. I'm curious, as you think back on your career, like what are the kind of the through lines or themes that you see, through your work?
So, first and foremost, I've been so fortunate to work with outstanding people and outstanding teams. And I would say that is not only something I look for when embarking on a new opportunity, is who are the people that are going to be standing shoulder to shoulder with you, doing the work, solving the problems, facing challenges, because that's going to happen everywhere and anywhere. And I think people are your most important asset in developing companies that are going to last and companies that are going to
Mm,
endure. And so that's
yeah,
been quite consistent throughout. Is I've worked alongside, I've had great leadership, great CEOs that and great people across the teams. That is quite consistent. As I mentioned as well, the themes around just having an impact on someone's life, being able to add some benefit, some value. And it could be as simple
mhm,
as, you know, a wonderful cocktail at the end of the day that adds a little something special to you, creates a new tradition, a beauty product, an app or a piece of software, or now with the products we develop to help support people's health and wellness with
yeah,
a plant-based solution that can work and can be an alternative to whether it's pharmaceutical products, alcohol itself, or anything else. People are making those decisions. And so that theme around just being able to see that tangible, tactical impact that you have with someone, with individuals,
mm,
is so, I
mm.
think, satisfying.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And then just have you been? I think you've said this, but just so I'm recalling correctly, in product development or product innovation at every step of your journey, or where did that emerge? That aspect of your work, your current work.
Yeah. So, I, kind of founded my career, in kind of marketing and in sales. And
Yeah.
through that, when you're working particularly in those functions, also understanding consumer insights, consumer trends, so that you can be working closely with your product development team to create products that are going to resonate and sell to consumers, that you're going to be able to
Yeah.
speak about well. So those functions
Mm,
like very naturally started to
yeah. The
coalesce
crossover.
together and cross over. And that's really where I started to make my mark in doing some of that work in the alcohol
Yeah.
industry, translated that
Yeah.
into the beauty industry, and then certainly was not a direct translation, but very similar understandings of how people interact with technology,
Yeah.
especially around that
Yeah.
time, 2010, 2011, where you were starting to see that juncture of how meaningful technology was becoming in people's lives,
Yeah.
and how do you
Mm,
create those connections was fascinating to me.
totally.
Totally enjoyed
Yeah.
that. And now coming full circle here, where it does, the experience, whether it's in the beverage world, the beauty world, we make all those types of products, right? So there is, and more. So there's such a wider opportunity to understand all these different segments and how you fit into someone's life.
I love it. I love it. It's really fascinating from me, from my experience. So outside of the podcast, I have a software company, software incubator, I guess you'd call it. But our most recent product and the one that I'm focused on is called Video Snap. but like always thinking about product. When I hear the word product, I think about software primarily. That's my lens. And it's just interesting to hear you come at it from the other side, where you think about like tangible, physical things that people are interacting with the world, and then translating that to software. I'm doing the opposite in this conversation, which is just fun to take note of how that word can have different meanings, but at the end of the day, it all comes back to creating something that's impacting someone's life, and hopefully for the better, which is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, and I certainly have that connection. Like one of I read all the different kind of business books out there, and you talk about product market fit. We talked about that a lot at City Maps. That was my technology company, of finding that product market fit in tech.
Yes.
But that applies to everything, right? It's like, and when you are developing a new product, and we talk to our partners and clients about this all the time, it's like really understanding like what is a problem that is unaddressed, that needs a solution or needs a different solution. And that's applicable to anything, whether you're building a technology solution or a tangible product solution, it's the same.
Yes. I love it. It's so good. And that's probably a great segue into into the world of cannabis, and the word that you've used, which is new to me. Is it cannabinoid, which I assume is like products made from cannabis. But maybe just to start, like, what are the high level benefits? Because I know that you're talking about, and again, this is me just being totally naive to the whole industry. I know that that CBD can, that it helps people relax, that it can be used for, treatment of chronic pain and things along those lines. But I would love to hear just kind of like the rundown of like maybe whether it's just specific use cases, specific products. I'm not sure, but like I'm just looking for like the high level, so we can kind of know where to dive into your expertise here.
Oh yes, so much. So high level, when you use the word, cannabinoid. So a cannabinoid is referring to, I know it's like kind of a tongue twister. Don't worry. I had to practice a lot.
It's fun to say.
Cannabinoids. So a cannabinoid is describing a molecule that is derived from a cannabis plant. And there is certain molecules, certain cannabinoids that are very well known. THC is one of them, tetrahydrocannabinol. THC, as we're familiar with, that is the active ingredient. If you're going to a dispensary or another medical marijuana channel, that is going to be, it's a psychoactive molecule. So we're all familiar with that kind of psychoactivity, that intoxication you get from THC. CBD, cannabidiol, is another cannabinoid. It also comes from the cannabis plant. And CBD is not psychoactive, is not going to have any intoxicating effects. But what it will do, and you called out some of those benefits or use cases, when you are taking CBD, it can support feeling overall more relaxed, relieving anxiety. It can help people sleep better. It can relieve pain. And so it has this multifaceted use case. And when the industry first began, that was somewhat overwhelming to understand, that you could have this single molecule. It's like, was it this magic molecule that cures everything and does everything? Well, it's not magic, and it doesn't cure absolutely everything. But when incorporated into your routine, when taken regularly, and when you're taking a product that is, of a high quality standard, you can see all of those benefits. Now, when we step even beyond THC and CBD, there is a whole range of other cannabinoids. And that list could go on. There's about 140 that scientists have identified. Right now, there's about 20 of those that we work with, that we've isolated. And some of them that might be familiar to listeners out there would be CBN or CBG. So again, these are all different cannabinoids. They're all found in the plant. And each one of these different ones has some unique properties and unique benefits. CBN, for example, you'll find in most of the sleep products on the market, because CBN can support very much better sleep outcomes, even more pronounced than how CBD would, just based on how it acts. So you now have this range of different molecules to work with to formulate and
Yeah.
create different products. So now the lens and like the areas of territories that you can focus on can now look at CBN for sleep. You're looking at products that are utilized, either before or after exercise to help with muscle recovery, to help with muscle conditioning. You're seeing lots of athletes start to step into the space because they're incorporating these products into their kind of sports regimens. You're even seeing
Yeah.
products now to support stimulating energy, providing greater focus, similar to the nootropics category that's growing,
Yeah.
um, and even help people curb their appetite, lose weight. Everyone associates THC with the munchies or getting hungry. There's cannabinoids now
Yes.
that help you do the opposite. And so
Interesting.
now we can be incredibly targeted in how we develop products and how we can deliver those products to help people with all of those different solutions that they're looking for.
Wow. I this is yeah, so much more, and it's where I expected this conversation to go. Like, since I feel like my knowledge of the cannabis industry is so flat, like so much more dimensional than I expected, which is just really fascinating. Why is it that cannabis has so many use cases? What is so special about that plant versus other plants?
Well, and I think plant-based medicine has been around for a very, very long time. And, there are many plants that are also multifaceted and multifunctional,
Hmm.
like cannabis. But really, there is nothing quite as prolific, I would say, just based on its composition. When you are understanding that you're not only talking about these cannabinoids that we're focused on here, but plants also contain terpenes. Terpenes, a word you might hear utilized, and it's very often associated with scent. So, the smell of lavender is coming from a terpene
Yeah.
called linalool. The smell
Okay.
of an orange peel is coming from Valencia, which is the terpene that
Mm.
smells like a Valencia orange. It's beautiful and bright.
Yes.
And so the cannabis plant, whether we're talking marijuana or hemp, which are kind of sisters in
Mm.
the kingdom, phylum, class order, they're in that genus category, um, have those properties of not only including cannabinoids, you've got terpenes, you've got all of your phytonutrients. And so being able to leverage and celebrate all those parts of the plant, as well as isolate different parts to create those specialized products, is very unique. And
Mm.
the opportunities in health and wellness with cannabis that we're slowly starting to uncover through both the regulated channels here in the US, in the CBD industry globally, is people are understanding that this is a solution that has been out there, and that now they can take advantage of now too.
I love it. I love it. What are the most, if we've already named some of them, but the most common, yeah, or maybe let me frame this differently. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for life-changing benefit from the products that you and your team are creating?
That's a big question. I think there's a few kind of big areas of focus for us. I think number one right now is mental health. And I think over the course, not only of decades here with technology advancements and how that has kind of changed how we interact and our brain chemistry and everything that goes along with it. And then, of course, the past several years within the pandemic, we have now, like the highest reported levels of anxiety sufferers, of depression, especially amongst our younger generations as well. And so, seeing the products that can be produced from cannabinoids are ideally suited to help support better mental health outcomes, and to do that
Mm.
without necessarily being prescribed a pharmaceutical drug or some other alternatives. So it gives people a solution that works. There was a study published actually yesterday, specifically looking at the younger generation with a certain dose of CBD was reducing reported levels of anxiety over 50% over a 30-day
Wow.
time frame. So the fact that
Wow.
this can support better mental health, our mental health is so important. It drives everything physically and otherwise. And so being able to focus on that dimension and create products that can support our overall mental health is a large priority for sure.
I love that, and that's really really incredible outcome. 50% increase is, I mean, that's revolutionary, which is
Yeah.
really really exciting. Um, I know that so much, and even coming into this conversation, I told you this. Like, I feel like my naivete about the industry, I feel like is kind of jaded by, or by the lens of the of cannabis being an illegal drug, and maybe in the less maybe nuanced or scientific approach to use of cannabis. I'm curious just to ask. I'm not sure exactly what the question is here, but I think I want to just hear your thoughts about overcoming the stigma, and like what people who might be afraid of cannabis products should know about, maybe about that history, about where that comes from, and about maybe the fear or concerns that people have about it.
Absolutely. And, you know, the I mean, this takes you back to the war on drugs and kind of the heavy propaganda campaign against cannabis in particular. It
Mm,
was vilified beyond recognition, as far as just how, we as a country here in the US, as well as even globally, were looking at that plant, and holding
mhm,
that plant to, just a level of responsibility that it didn't necessarily warrant, as far as what it did. And so we're still overcoming that stigma, and there's still much work to be done to help people understand, how this plant operates, how it is and always has been kind of utilized as a form of medicine. And
mm,
kind of all started there, certainly with the marijuana programs state by state, that have now proliferated. You're looking at programs in over 32 states, whether it's a medical program or a recreational program. And that list continues to grow month after month, year after year, where, we are now at a point in our society where there is over 80% awareness and acceptance around
mm,
cannabis. And that's inclusive of marijuana as well as CBD and hemp products, as well as, kind of levels of usage that are growing, where it's like over 50% of the population have reported having tried a product at some point. So that stigma is starting to come down, I think, based upon the fact that there is wider access, and there is what I would call kind of safe access of, like, if you're going to, whether it's a dispensary in a state that you live in, or you're going into the vitamin shop and purchasing products from their CBD collection, it feels more validated, it feels more comfortable as a consumer, and consumers are starting to better educate themselves. They're taking a very proactive stance on their overall health and wellness to be able
mm,
to make some of their own personal healthcare decisions. Of course, always under the guidance of a physician when needed, but they're asking questions. They're looking out there and saying, hey, do I really need to be taking melatonin on a daily basis, or could I take a CBD or a CBN product instead?
mm,
And would that have
yeah,
the same or a better outcome potentially? So I
yeah.
think we're all doing our part, and certainly, myself and the team I work with are part of that education and that movement to remove that stigma, and help people like find these products and these solutions that are going to support them.
I love it. Thank you for that. That's really really helpful, just to kind of view it through that lens of where we've been, and where we are now with it. As far as open source, or I mean, not open source, open book extracts. Like when I go to the website, it seems like there's a lot of focus on the manufacturing. It feels very scientific, feels agricultural, but I see that there's both ingredients as well, like ingredient sourcing as well as finished products. Is that I'd maybe just like to hear just a little bit more about the company and the things that you're making with the team.
Absolutely. So, we're based in North Carolina. North Carolina has a number of beautiful qualities to it. Number one being its rich agricultural heritage, as well as its Research Triangle Park, where you have one of the greatest densities of, research and focus around, both pharmaceutical companies, nutraceutical companies, consumer products, goods companies. So it was a perfect place for us to build our team as well as establish ourselves. So down in North Carolina is where we produce all of the different cannabinoids that we've been referencing here. So starting with, producing those ingredients, in their, pure form. We have incredibly high quality standards, all of the kind of certifications you would expect of a pharmaceutical lab, really. We talked earlier in the show here around, what your perception might be of going to, a weed company or a cannabis company.
Yes.
And when people cross our thresholds, they are very much pleasantly surprised and sometimes shocked because what they see looks like a pharmaceutical lab. We have members of our team who hold PhDs and used to work at pharmaceutical companies, used to work in scientific laboratories, used to work as food scientists, cosmetic chemists. So it is a very scientifically focused and driven and experienced team to be able to produce all of these various ingredients. And then a team that's also able to do all of the product development and R&D to create all of those formulas and finished products, whether that's going into something that's a beverage or there's lots of gummies in the market. We do lots and lots of gummy products, soft gel products, tablets, products for skincare and topical support. So, under our roof in North Carolina, there's a lot of activity both on manufacturing the raw ingredients themselves to go into those products, as well as the manufacture of those finished products. Those are products that you would see sitting on shelf that, we produce, on behalf of our clients. So we serve, hundreds of clients in the global market today to provide them with ingredients, provide them with sophisticated formulations, and those finished products that work and that support the outcomes they're going for.
I love it. That's really, really fantastic. It seems like great work. And just like you said, when I go to the website, it doesn't feel like the stereotype, right, of a weed company, quote unquote, or anything along those lines. And does feel, scientific, agricultural. It's really neat. I just want to maybe just zoom out again a little bit to some of the transitions that you've made. Many people who are listening to the podcast are thinking about their life, their work, thinking about how to find more fulfillment. Whether you talk about that in terms of calling, vocation, purpose, passion. I'm not too concerned with the words that we use, but with that idea of how do you find the most fulfillment in what you do, and how do you orient your life towards pointing your work in that direction? And maybe just to contextualize this question a little bit, I'm curious specifically about your transition into this role. And you said something about wanting to be a part of like the major shift that's happening, and similar to the prohibition years. But I'm curious, even just if you have a story or stories of like why cannabis, like why this transition, and then I want to dig further into more of your thoughts on meaning and purpose, and how you think about that moving forward in your work. But let's start just on that transition again, and why cannabis, why now, and why you personally, why this?
So and there's two primary components for me. The first one, comes from, my background from the technology world. And as I shared earlier, when I was, approached by my friend to join his team, I didn't join at the seed round. I came on as an advisor. I kind of said, like, look, like, there's nothing for me to like do what I do with it yet. I need a thing to do something with. Like, I think you need someone to build the thing. And so, so I joined after, that company had been underway for about a year and a half. And then was with the City Maps team through our, acquisition and kind of culmination in that transition to TripAdvisor. And it was one of the most fulfilling, rewarding, and challenging parts of my career to go on that journey. The one regret I had was not being there from the start. And so
Mm.
kind of made it a mission for myself that the next leap I took, the next adventure I went on, I wanted to be there from the beginning. I
I love
wanted
it.
to have that kind of like gritty moments of figuring things out, not knowing the answers, but finding the way. I love all of it. It's very
Yes.
much part of my personality. So combining that with the cannabis industry itself, which, as I mentioned, just from a personal as well as professional standpoint, professionally understanding product development, understanding how to introduce new products and routines to people's lives and do that, and felt like there would be some translation of that and a sophistication to bring to the cannabis industry from my background, combined with the fact that, you know, personally, I believe in plant based healing and wellness, and felt like that's something that would give me a lot of purpose and joy to do every single day. So, kind of those two factors converged right around this opportunity. I did start to
Mhm.
get to know different companies in the space, different brands that I was familiar with, and cross paths with the founders of Open Book Extracts right at the time when they were building the team and starting the company, and said, "Yeah, this is the opportunity. This is the
I
one I've
love
been
it.
looking for," and
Yeah.
already had a very strong foundational team of people that I respected, that I felt like I had value to add, different qualities, different experiences to complement what they were doing in a strong way.
Mm.
And that's,
Mm.
what led me here. And, this has been my one and only journey into cannabis. I've been here for over 3 years, and it's every day is exciting. It's fulfilling. It's a nonstop, puzzle problem solving exercise. I would say
Yes.
anyone out there thinking about the cannabis industry, I 100% support it. I would not support it if you do not enjoy ambiguity. If you do not enjoy someone changing the rules to the game on a daily or
Yeah.
hourly basis, and that you have to be agile, you have to love that. But people who are in it in the
Mm.
community, not just of our company, but of the industry, is very much like that. You have people who embrace the ambiguity, embrace the challenge, because we're the ones that are going to carve that path out for this to emerge into the full mainstream opportunity that we all know it's going to be, and is already really becoming.
Yes, I love that. That's such a great story, and just so great to hear, just some of your values at play there, that you really wanted to be a part of that founding team. That was some of what, maybe this intersection of the cannabis industry, as well as this specific opportunity for people who are in similar places where they might have an idea of, I want to do this kind of thing, but I don't know what it's going to look like. You said you cross paths with the founders, but I'm curious if there's any other or any more that you would say to people who are looking for that next thing, but don't really know where to go to find it, and just from your own experience, like, how did you what made that transition so successful for you? Or if you were to look back and do it again, what advice would you give yourself as about, how to make that transition, to find the right team to be a part of?
Well, I'll share like my personal journey. The opportunity here with Open Book Extracts, did start through friendships and relationships that I had.
Yeah.
And I'd say the best place to start is start talking about it. Like a lot of times, like we'll
Mm.
just be sitting on our couch talking to ourselves, like, I want to do it. You don't want to
Yes.
vocalize it. You don't want to tell your friend, hey, I'm thinking
Yes.
about joining this industry. And once I started doing that, it was very, especially with cannabis, I was like, there's no one I'm going to know who's doing anything, or this, I'm not going to have it. Once you tell one person, they're like, oh, I think I know someone who you should talk to. And then you talk to that
Mm.
person, and they'll open doors to someone else. And so I think the best place to start is even within your network and your circle of friends,
I love
like
that.
where there's
Yeah.
comfort there, like you feel safe there, and you'd be surprised at what you can find. Um, and beyond that, and on my journey, many of the folks I did talk to encouraged me to join different groups on LinkedIn or groups on Facebook that are bringing together like-minded individuals. On the cannabis side, there's just a wealth of different groups to join for women in cannabis, for individuals coming into the space, but every industry has that too. And so finding those communities where you can start to build those relationships, and it can be as simple as sending a message, just it starts with the ask. Just reach out to someone
Yes.
that you might be seeing on LinkedIn that has a job that you think you might want to do or is interesting, and just ask them, can you take them to a virtual coffee and chat? Or if you're in the same
Yes.
city, we can be in person now. Go out. You'd be surprised how many people want to say yes and want to support.
That is such a good recommendation, and just the power of network, the power of people. That often the answer is not how to do it, but who should you be talking to, who could you be talking to. And I love just what you said, just putting it out there, just starting the conversation, even though you don't know where it's going to lead. Just by starting opens doors, which is really fantastic. As you think about your looking forward into the future of your career, what do you what's the question here? I guess I want to just hear you talk about legacy. How do you think about legacy? Think about what do you want your work to be remembered as? When you're in your later years in life, looking back on a full career of doing really interesting and innovative things. What's the story that you wanted to tell?
I think that it's about making a difference, and that means a couple things to me. I think I derive a lot of value from building and supporting great teams of people. And so one legacy I would hope to continue to work on and put forth is having had a great impact on the people I've had the fortune to work with. And whether that's as someone who can deliver value and success to a company, but even on the more personal level of helping to develop talent, helping to kind of teach and show the way. And would hope that, in years to come, I would be remembered in those ways, the same way I look fondly on those pillars throughout my career that were transformative in helping to shape who I am personally, who I am, and how I show up in my career and as a professional. And I think that legacy is extremely important. And I've been able to do it in a few different industries so far. And this is the one that I think is going to be my long-term home. So hope to continue to do that. And beyond, the people element, I think it comes down to, especially with cannabis, we do talk about this a lot of time at work where, we know this industry is going to look wildly different 10 years from now or 20 years from now. Even in the moments today, we'll be we know we're going to look back on this exact moment. We're going to think about, remember when it was this hard? And now it's so open. People are experiencing so many benefits. I think we will see a transformation in hopefully our overall kind of general population health and wellness as a result of it. And to even feel that our company and what we do played a role, however large or small it might be, in that development is a legacy that I would be really proud of.
I love it. What a fantastic response. Thank you. Thank you for that. Well, just as we move towards wrapping up here, is there anything that if people want to connect with you, follow along with your work, is there anything you'd like to invite people to?
Well, as I mentioned just a little bit ago, I am one of those people you can reach out to. If you want to know about this industry or anything that I've done or any people that I can connect you to, I'm a person that loves to do that and to play that role. So, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active there and always communicating on my LinkedIn profile, Nicole Brown, Chief Innovation Officer, Open Book Extracts. And you can reach out to me, directly at my email. It's very simply Nicole, Nicole, at openbookextracts.com. And you can ask me about the industry, about how to get into it, about what we do, questions about the products themselves. As our company name is, I'm an open book just like us. So please feel free to do so. Would welcome any of you to reach out.
I love that. just a kind and generous offer. So thank you so much. It's been so fun to connect. I've learned a lot myself, and just really appreciate you putting up with all my my uneducated questions, and just sharing so much of your story with us here today. Thanks so much, Nicole.
Thank you, Dan. Your questions were wonderful, and I enjoyed this conversation very much. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Nicole, and thank you, listeners and viewers, for tuning in. You can find links to Nicole's work at themeaningmovement.com/Nicole Brown. That's NicoleBrown. If you consider yourself a high performer, you are likely to have at some point experienced burnout, where you've given too much of yourself over to all the many different directions that you are pulled in. The Meaning Movement is here to help you reclaim your life, your relationships, and your work again. If that sounds like you, if that sounds like a journey that you want to be on and want to have help with, please jump on the email list. I send out a weekly email with all kinds of resources and ideas to help you along those lines. You can find that email list anywhere on the website. You just look for an opt-in box around the Meaning Movement, themeaningmovement.com. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do so wherever you're watching or listening. If you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. Also, leave us a comment. I would love to know what is resonating with you. Our artwork is by Eliezer Ruiz. Our music is by Tom Roram. We'll be back with you in just a few days. Thanks so much.